Hi guys, welcome to our channel. In today's episode, we have a special guest who is an American living in Taiwan. His name is Bryan Hopkins. He's a filmmaker. He's working on a documentary about Ukraine during the war. And we had a nice conversation with him talking about his experience in Ukraine. Please enjoy the video. So today we have a special guest. Bryan, can you tell me a little bit? Can you introduce yourself a little bit for the audience?
My name is Bryan Hopkins. I'm a director, and I'm here in Lviv working on a documentary.
That's awesome. And where did you come from to Lviv?
Well, I'm from the U.S., but I've been living in Taiwan for the last 8 years.
Mm-hmm. And so you came here from Taiwan?
Yeah, I came from Taiwan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have a friend, Yuri, who is a scientist who would travel to Taiwan. And prior to that, I didn't really have any Ukrainian experience, didn't have any Ukrainian friends or anything like that. But he likes to drink. So that was a great place to start for us. And so, you
can be friends with every Ukrainian.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we all like to drink.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big part of the culture, sort of.
Yeah. It's good. And so we would drink, and then COVID happened, and then I didn't see him for 2 years. He didn't come back. So what he would do is he.
Oh, so he was visiting you?
He would. He's a professor at the university here in Lviv, but then he would go to Taiwan and publish papers. Because Taiwan doesn't have as many scientists there that are publishing. So he would publish papers under the university's name, the National Taiwan University. So I guess it's like a competition to see who's, has the most published papers. So there's like the Ukrainians and Russians, there's quite a few of them that live in Taiwan.
Ukrainians in Taiwan?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a community of Ukrainians in Taiwan?
There is. They have an Eastern Orthodox Christian church and everything, and so I don't know a lot of them, but I just know Yuri and another friend, Mikhail, and his wife. Yeah.
So did they go to some of Ukrainian diaspora events in Taiwan?
Yeah. So when the war took place and there were protests, so I was just plugged into it. Right, just by natural, just through my friends. So, but they protest every weekend in Taiwan.
That's amazing.
I mean,
that's great.
Yeah, they care.
We need that. It's Ukraine still needs a lot of help from our friends everywhere in the world, because it's still happening. The war is still happening, and we really are asking the world not to stop, to continue protesting, to continue asking their government to help out Ukraine, because Russia needs to be stopped at it just needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
Before we can move on with our lives. It's just it's the new Hitler. We have a opportunity to redo the history. Everyone wants to go back in time and kill Hitler. You got that opportunity right now.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. It's like endurance. And it's really tough in the modern world because we're conditioned to have these shortened time spans. Twitter, these number of characters, and it's like I never could wrap my head around Twitter because my ideas tend to be long-winded.
Anton here is a Twitter master. He loves Twitter. Right? Isn't that your favorite platform to use?
No, not favorite. Yeah.
Not favorite? What's your favorite social media?
Social media, okay, OLX, because it's most weird people in the world.
It's like eBay or more. Do you have Kijiji in America?
Oh, I haven't heard of that. I feel old every time I hear there's a whole platform.
It's like
You've never
eBay,
heard.
but it's private sellers.
Okay.
So he's saying that's his favorite social media.
Oh wow. Okay. Hey, that's good.
Yeah, most funniest posts, most funniest people.
Yeah, it is pretty.
Oh, I want to say about Putin and Hitler. Your порівняння, Боже. I mean, it's very it's very high grade for Putin because Hitler looks like movie evil guy, and then
Yeah, he worked on his look. He's like, I'm gonna have this weird ass mustache.
Yeah.
But then he was like, no, that's not enough. I'm gonna do this little thing here and like put like a lot of grease on it. He's really
Hitler
effort
looks
in his
like a character from the comics, from the anime. I don't know. Hitler, just yeah. Putin, yeah. I mean,
yeah, put some effort into your look, you know? Like, if he's gonna be like the world's Bond villain, just like, I don't know, like get a scar or something. An eye patch. I think an eye patch would be.
Hitler was artist. I saw his pictures, but everyone see like Putin draw, paint. I mean, cat ass.
Oh, cat's ass. Yeah. He could be an artist too.
So Putin is not Hitler.
Well, yeah.
He's aspiring.
Yeah.
The story's not finished yet. We'll see how bad this goes.
He's not pulling it off well.
Yeah, no. I mean, didn't Hitler invent the Volkswagen, like the Beetle? Isn't he? I believe he like actually was a part of the creation and designing of that car. So Hitler really he spent a lot of time and effort and saw himself as like an artist and a connoisseur of art.
Oh, so
I mean, Germans
actually worked on design?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like the
there's
people's
Hitler's
car.
hand present in every Volkswagen.
Yeah. And it's interesting, you know. But
strange.
How is it that all these years later, right? People, you know, they move on. And I think what you brought up was a very valid point. Is like, how do you keep the intensity, right? Even now, you have we're in Lviv, we're really safe, but you have these
well, nowhere
sirens.
in Ukraine is safe. Yeah.
No, I mean
not just sirens,
relatively.
it's air alarms.
Yeah.
I mean, something is flying towards us.
Yeah.
Like a rocket.
But it's
bomb. Yeah.
people have kind of, now that the intensity in this area has kind of gone down, people have gotten back to normalcy, and so it's tough. It's figuring out, okay, I really need to be focused, and the world needs to be focused on this. And I think it's going to be,
You have to just keep doing what you were doing before the war.
Sure.
Everyone has to keep working on their job.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's coming back to normal, but any moment now, a rocket could land here.
Yeah.
And we don't know if Putin's going to use atomic weapons or not. He's using chemical weapons already in the eastern part.
I saw some video footage of, I believe it was thermite or whatever the is being used, and it looked, it was so scary. It looked like the Matrix, like the lines coming down. It was
if that lands on you.
Absolutely, but it was beautiful. And then you just think all this beautiful image, and it's like how horrifying, just death raining down on you. So in some respects, I think. You have to stay normal, and you try to resume a normal life, but at the same time, you also, on the other side of your brain, have to say, this isn't normal. And the world can't go on like normal. The world has to realize, and whether they like it or not, this food crisis is going to really hit people. And I think that's you know, it's sad because it's not going to hit everyone equally. It's going to hurt the poorest people. It's going to hurt Africa, right? Because that's where Ukraine. I never bought anything made from Ukraine in the United States, and even in Taiwan, I don't recall ever buying anything that said "made in Ukraine." So the average American may not experience that, but people who can least afford that, the poor people in Africa and in the Middle East, those people are going to be hit hard. They're going to be hit first. So the world has to see this as a much bigger problem.
Of course.
And it will come to them. Yeah. It will come to them.
And people are dying in Ukraine right now from Russian shelling, and that needs to be stopped. Like right now, like why the fuck is that happening? This is crazy.
And I think world has to support Ukraine because Russians' borders ends where they получают пизды.
They get punched in the face.
Punched.
basically. They need to be put in their place, and that's when their border stops. Like they
Yeah.
will continue expanding until someone.
That's why now
them up a
border
little.
of Russia, they think that it's Crimea and our east, but they can stop themselves. I mean,
Yeah, no, I'm very disappointed in Russian people, and like I have zero hopes on on that because they're not doing enough. I feel like.
I thought
I mean,
about
of course,
it.
it's kind of biased to say, maybe they are trying. Of course, you can say that they're being put in jail for all the protesting, but like. Do fucking something. It's your government that's going like fucking nuts.
It's
like, why do we have to
It's a
suffer
very interesting
from it?
moment. I thought about it because how to be the one of part of evil of most in the world evilest country and it's not about country. It's about. It's like a religion sector.
Like a cult.
Cult, yeah, like a cult. And everyone in Russia believes in things that they are right, and it's weird because how you can think that all the world is going to crazy.
I don't think it's all of Russia, but it's definitely majority, and it's a very loud majority, and that's what we're hearing here in Ukraine. That's an impression we're getting from Russians. Like, I wish there were more like voices in Russia of like defending, our fucking rights to live in Ukraine. Like, why don't we have that right? Anyways, let's return to the topic. So you've mentioned to us before that you're interested in making some kind of comedy, short movie that has a comedy undertones or like full-on comedy.
Well, yeah, so the documentary for sure that has to get done. But then there's this other project that, Film School 101. They always play the last part of. The Great Dictator is considered to be one of the greatest monologues in film history, and that's all I saw in film school. And when this happened, I was just something. I woke up and I was like, I gotta see this film. So I watched the whole thing, and it's free on YouTube, right? What an amazing film! And I never really had an appreciation for slapstick, absurdist kind of comedy.
Do you think what is it called? The Great Dictator, right?
Yeah.
Is that slapstick, or is it so much more than that, though?
I think it's. There's so much going on there, but that's the thing. Like there's layers, and again, it's. You look at something and it's so easy to dismiss it. And
Do you know at what point in his career Charlie Chaplin produced this movie? Was it?
It was the first year of World War II.
Yeah, but was it like more?
It was like near the end.
Near the end of his career,
and it was
right?
his.
So
It was.
he already had a lot of experiences.
Oh yeah. So that was the first. That was the first film that he did, and I think it's the only one he did where there was dialogue. They was all silent, right?
Yeah.
So at that time, everyone was doing talking films, and he was still doing, these again, just kind of silly stuff, But then when you put it there. It works so perfectly. It works so perfectly in that film because...
And the way he used the dialogues, he used it in very important...
So do you know the story of The Great Dictator? Essentially, I don't know.
I've seen it a while back, like roughly. I remember the speech part.
So it's basically you have a Jew and then you have this Hitler character and they never meet until the very end where... they accidentally get swapped because they both look, it's the same character playing both. And, I mean, some of the stuff is just so hilarious. Like, they have this one guy who shows up and every day he's like, I have this new invisible armor suit that's bulletproof. And, and the Hitler character grabs a gun and shoots him. And then, he falls out the window. And again, it's hilarious. But, you see that, and then at the end they swap places. So the guy at the end who gives the speech is not the Hitler character, that's the Jew that was accidentally swapped in place. So, and then the Hitler character ends up going to one of the camps. So, genius concept.
Yeah.
And
Also, tale as old as time, you know.
yeah, but the idea that that it's all about making people feel and connect and stay present. And I think it was really fascinating. I again, had never seen anything like that, and I felt ashamed that was the case, but it really hit hard, especially given the current situation, you know. And so I want to do something like that.
A film that you would recommend for people to watch right now?
Oh, absolutely.
Any other recommendations on films that are good, in like relevant to what's happening in the world right now?
I saw. My first place that I stopped at was Warsaw when I came in, and so I was recommended to see a couple films. Was it Wolin and Hatred? Now these are Polish films, and Polish and Ukrainians have had a challenging past. But one of the things I don't think Americans understand, and it's so. Americans are we feel like we're part of the world because they have a little piece of the world. In I go down the street, I got all the colors of the rainbow, right? I got black people, Asian people, Indian people, all this stuff, and you can interact with people from all these different cultures. But one of the things you do as an American is you leave a lot of your culture at the door, and you come in, and you become an American, and this capitalistic, consumerist kind of mindset. So you have this false idea that you know diversity, but in fact you really don't. All right? Now, you may have someone at the 7-Eleven who's Indian, but I lived in India for 5 months, and that is so different, and even just I didn't know anything about Ukraine before I came here, and I have Ukrainian friends and this and that.
Yeah,
but when I came here, then all of a sudden it's like it's a vastly different experience, and there's so many things that go in there, and so Americans don't realize the history.
Yeah, because if you want to experience the culture, you should go to the source of the culture. You shouldn't expect a friend that you have who has a background of a certain culture to be responsible for educating you and presenting their culture to you, so it's interesting to you. They're just adapting to the American culture themselves.
Sure.
So if you really want to experience the culture, you have to go to the country that you're interested in.
But one only виняток.
Exception.
Yeah, one exception is Russian, Baton Beach, because they
Yeah.
took their culture and just bring to the New York, and it's I heard that it's closed culture.
Closed-off community. Yeah. Anton's point is that Russians often refuse to kind of adapt to American cultures, and sometimes they have their own sort of settlements or whatever. In Brighton Beach, there's
not just being our is their culture, even conserve 1990s.
It's like 1990s. It's not even modern world like Russia. I don't. It's just. I feel like Russians. They have this nostalgia for the USSR, and it's sad to see a person move to a country like America, where freedom is the most important thing, and they're reminiscent for the for USSR.
Well, that's
that
was it? They call it hindsight bias. And it's like you remember things in the past, and you remember it as it being better than it actually was. But there's a biological element to that, right? And there's a biological element that your brain actually, and it's good. Let's say you have a bad experience, right? Your brain will soften that, but your memory is never what it was. And it's interesting was, you know, the United States where, you know, we have a lot of people who say, oh, the good old days. Oh, the good old days when there were no labor laws, the good old days when, you know, black people were, you know, not considered equal, that women weren't considered equal, that they didn't have voting rights. You know, those good old days, who was that good for?
I always think that right now is the best time in history because we have all this advance in technology, sciences, you know, what good old days.
Not only technologies, even culture, because
of course.
Now
Now that everyone's more equal, everyone's more accepted, and everyone has more opportunities to produce.
Rights of children, rights of animals, rights of women, and in my childhood, I was beaten by parents, and it was normal. It was normal.
Not bitten.
Okay,
sorry.
sorry.
Were they biting? Okay.
Now it's looks like
It's
abuse, and
there's a word for it.
Yeah, it's not normal.
Yeah,
anymore.
back then it wasn't. There was. I feel like there was no word for that back in the days. You know, when you beat your kids, oh, you're just
Discipline.
discipline. Yeah. Now we call it abuse.
Yeah, so nowadays is better days.
Of course.
Yeah, well, Steven Pinker has written extensively on this, and the better angels of our nature, and he a lot of people argued in that book, argued with the book is how could this be better? But it's demonstrably true that we are, when you take a look at infant death, anything that's measurable, we are constantly improving.
Yeah.
Even if we want to take a look at the, you know, going back to the history point, you know, the battles that we used to fight, I mean, the casualties were significantly higher than they are even now.
And the death was so much more painful. You didn't have painkillers. And, like, it's one thing to be shot. Another thing is to be, like, when you're cut with a sword. That's probably sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah.
If you had a time machine, where would you travel back in time? Was there some badass battle that you wanted to see in person?
No.
No?
I think that the temptation would be
Checking
there.
out.
Like I would. That was one I'd have to think on because
If you had an ability to bring a camera with you.
I'd shoot
What would you
Jurassic
want
Park. I would love to see. I would love to see our, you know, our hunter gatherers. I mean, I love evolution. I love. I mean, I spent 4 years studying like evolutionary theory and stuff like that, and I was just. It's fascinating. I think the human story, the struggle, the striving, is beautiful, and I think to bring this back to Ukraine is, you guys are inspiring the whole fucking world right now. And it really, as an American, didn't have Ukraine experience, didn't have the history and all that other stuff. And that's what I hope to do in the documentary, is to cover a lot of that stuff so that people can see the magnitude. But you guys have grit.
Yeah.
Grit. And the world is seeing
We're
that.
also amazed.
And Taiwanese are really paying attention to this because they are potentially next on the chopping block. And the world needs to grow a set of balls and say, yep, just because you have nuclear weapons doesn't mean that you get the veto over the world.
Why the fuck do we even have nuclear weapons? What is that?
Well,
that is just so crazy of a concept to me. Like, we have weapons that can just fucking make the earth go poof.
well, right now what
How
we're trying to
is
do
that
is figure out, this is, I think, the evolution of this is going to be that we're going to come up with a weapon that is more powerful than a nuclear weapon. A bomb can blow up a city, but if we cut off your economy and they cut off your society, they don't allow you to travel, that's what I think the world doesn't understand. The world has power in this situation. We need to shut Russia off of everything.
Yeah.
We thought, you know, at first the forming of the European Union, we all had to be interconnected, interdependent, globalization, good stuff. But now we're at the point where we need to be able to cut someone out because they're not participating in happy
No, it's
world.
like, stop killing.
Yep.
Stop killing.
Yep.
They don't understand.
Cut the oil
Stop
out.
killing. Stop killing. They don't get it. Fucking.
Yeah, we just like, all right, you are now North Korea. And that's what the world needs to do.
They're
And
doing
we're
that to
learning how to do
themselves,
it.
too.
And we're learning how to do that. And the moment we do that, then we'll have a way to be able to deal with something like China. Like right now, everything's all interconnected. Everything in the U.S. is made in China. If they say we're not trading with China, America would be screwed. Their economy would come to a halt
and people
immediately.
would not be happy.
Yeah.
People wouldn't be happy because they would have to pay more for everything.
Yeah, if they could even do that.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I think Ukraine, in many respects, is forcing the world to evolve. And I think the world needs to grow a set of balls and match what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And I really
and we don't
am
want
inspired.
anything extra. We just want to live on our land and just do our own business. Like, don't fuck with us. That's it. Like, we're not trying to take over some territories, you know? Like, we're just fine here, like, doing whatever we're doing. Like, what the fuck do you want, Russia? Fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, that's nuts. I go into someone else's house and I start attacking them in their house.
Yeah.
And then somehow they're like, hey, wait a second. Why are you guys getting mad?
And then the world is like, why didn't you just give him your bedroom? You know? You can live without a bedroom.
Right.
You have the rest of the
He
house.
wants the bedroom. Can you let him have the bedroom? And then this is, again, the endurance. We're going to have to tell. The world needs to shut the fuck up. You guys need everything back, and the world needs to be willing. Yeah.
Because we've lost so much. We lost.
Oh yeah, the reparations, absolutely.
So many people and so many fucking great people and the fucking best people. The Ukrainian soldiers, the thing is, like, Russia tosses trash at us. Like, their soldiers, like, they don't even respect their soldiers. They're not giving them enough, like, medical equipment. They're not giving them they give them expired food rations. They don't want to take the bodies of their soldiers back to Russia.
Sure.
They're refusing to take them back.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about their soldiers. Like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, your country doesn't care about you. For us, a lot of people are volunteers who go to defend Ukraine by their own will, and it's usually the fucking best. And we're getting this garbage from Russia, and we have our best people that we're losing. Like, Russia, what they're losing, they don't give a shit about. And we're losing the best people, and it's just so fucking sad. Yeah. These people could have been doing so many amazing things. Like, just contributing to Ukrainian culture, contributing to improving the world's arts and culture and sciences and whatever, but instead they're dying in the war.
Because there is a phrase or tagline of Russia culture is women will burn another.
Yeah, they will have more kids.
Ну, типу, баби ще нарожають. Вот, and
that's like a common phrase used in Russia.
Okay.
They just say that, like, women will just bear more children.
Yeah, and from our side, die best people, and from their side, die useless people.
Claim to be useless by fucking Russia themselves, because they're proving that they don't care about these young men who they're sending here. We're not gonna fucking care about them because they're here to kill and rape and steal. Like, we're gonna stop them, you know. Anyways, I'm like,
but you guys actually are taking care of them. From what I understand, isn't there a helpline? And this is one of the people. If I could find a way, I want to talk to the people who are doing the helpline for the Russian mothers, where they call to find out if their son has died. I believe Ukraine has a help number.
Yeah, they do.
That has got to be amazing.
Yeah,
like imagine you're calling the country that your country is invading, and you're like, can I find out is my son dead? Because I'm not hearing anything from my government.
Yeah.
But I need you guys to help me. What is that conversation like? I mean, can you imagine what that would be? You're a Ukrainian person, and you're hearing that. It's like,
I think even this action is not going to convince the Russian mother not to hate Ukraine and Ukrainians. And she might even send another son to Ukraine and support him. Do you think, like,
I think actually Russian mothers. There's some stuff. I listened to 2 podcasts on Ukraine that are really good. One's put out by the Telegraph, Ukraine the Latest, and the other one is Ukraine Cast. And both of these, they put out five a week. So it's a daily podcast, and it's 30 to 45 minutes long, each episode. Both of them put out 5 a week, and they were talking about the mothers, because they told the soldiers that they were doing a training exercise. So the mother couldn't find her child, and they were trying to track him down. And then I guess the mothers went and protest. Like, they went outside of the training camp, and they're like, "I want my son back now." You know, like, they were coming in, and they were actually able to get changes. So I think, you know, everyone wants to sit there and say, there's nothing I can do. I'm so weak and powerless against it.
I hate
bullshit.
That, especially
you can do something.
Russian influencers. They try to show their support to Ukraine by saying, like, I support Ukraine, but I can't say anything. I can't do anything because I'm just a little person. I can't make a change.
Yeah. Come here and grab a gun. And
in Ukraine, every fucking person feels like they can make the change. This is why we had so many revolutions, and we did get what we wanted, the change we wanted in our own government. And now, like, we're using the strength to fight Russia as well. Russia thinks, like, if they take over Kyiv and they put their own leader in Kyiv, that we're gonna obey. No fucking way.
No.
Because every Ukrainian is kind of their own
This
boss.
is old world. This is old world versus new world, right? The rule of power versus the rule of law. And you think about it, like, it's really, to say that I'm going to create a rule and that I have to respect that, that's a huge jump in evolution. But again, we talked about how we've modernized and how that's been beneficial. You create food safety laws, you create air laws, all this stuff. But this allows us to cooperate together, all right? But Russia doesn't understand or respect that, and they represent that old world. And that old world, if I have the power, I can do it. That makes me
they're
right.
Leaders, for sure.
We need to crush that. And this is not, obviously Ukraine didn't attack Russia. This is not a local territorial dispute. This is not that. This is, do you like modernity or not? And I think the world has a responsibility here. It's unfortunate.
We've had a great support from the world, and it's
Putin
really
doesn't think he's fighting Ukraine. He thinks he's standing up to NATO.
Yeah, because he thinks, like, if he admits to losing to Ukraine.
Because Putin don't use internet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's
There's
this rumor, or is it more than a rumor, that Putin doesn't use internet. He gets all the information brought to him in files, in
paper files.
Paper.
Yeah.
By the way, funny moment about Russian in American movies. I mean, Russian characters in American movies. Every second spy movie has characters of
Villain.
Even Russian guy.
Villain.
Yeah. And Russians used to say, you recognized us very bad. And now we see that no, недостаточно. Not enough bad. You're worse. You're more bad.
They're fucking evil.
Yeah.
Well, there's a system in place, and when that system gets carried away, just, even in World War II, there's a system of exterminating Jews and Poles and Ukrainians, and that system, people just function, and they think that by serving their little function, and they don't see the big picture. They just see that small, I just do my little thing, I do what I'm told, I do what I'm told. This is not a do what you're told moment.
Yeah, and also
this is a wake the fuck up and do something.
To not see the big picture these days when everyone has access to the internet.
But about
concentration camps.
Concentration camps. It's concentration camps is past of all world, but not for Russian because.
They're doing concentration
because
camps
if we talk about camps, you had camps in USA. I mean I talk about Japanese.
Yeah.
And everyone had. Every big country, every big force had something like this. But for us, is terrible past. For Russians, cool. cool.
Yeah,
It's,
yes, like we
it's-
evolved beyond that. The world evolved beyond that, but Russia has not.
It is
and
great-
they're
great,
using it as a tactic.
The tactic,
Yeah.
great guide. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, well.
Yeah,
fucking
well,
Russian.
the thing I find really, there's two things that I find really horrifying. One is, we saw the killings in Bucha, and then apparently it was, and again, I haven't yet to get any like evidence of it, but they were talking about mobile crematoriums where they were trying to basically clean up and hide the stuff.
Yeah.
And even in
they're still using
Mariupol,
it.
they were saying that in order to get water, this was, I think, the New York Times yesterday, in Mariupol, you have to help them clean up and do some of their dirty work of taking care of bodies and this and that, but you have to do that just to get water. I mean, this is so.
It's unimaginable
yeah.
what's happening right now in the occupied territories. Because like we see what happened in Bucha now that the Russians are left, but we like have no idea what's happening in Mariupol right now actually, and it's fucking scary.
Yeah, and then they what is it? How many was it? 1 million people or so that they've taken to Russia that they've, and now they
kidnap a bunch of children too.
Yeah.
But they're putting them into Russian families.
Yeah. Well, we have to make sure that never gets to go back to normal.
Yeah.
I mean, they just
Never to forget this for sure.
And if talking about motivation of Russian troopers, for what you fight? Oh, I have a debt.
Or like the bank debt.
Yeah.
So they're doing it for the money. Yeah. Anyways, what has been your experience like in Lviv now? Because you've experienced some air alarms. There was one last night. How do you feel when that happens? Or do you get nervous?
No,
Have you faced
I was.
something like that
Yeah,
before?
I think I was more nervous before coming here than I was, or than I am here. I was in the Army. I was in the 82nd Airborne Division, and I never had a problem jumping out of planes.
Yeah.
I never. Because you made the decision when
straight
you
up.
joined the Army, you made your decision when you got on the plane.
Yeah.
Walking out the door is just the continuation of everything that you decided up until that point. So for me, the air raids, the decision to come here was the stressful one, but then it was like, now that I'm here, it's like I've jumped out of the plane. It's like, yeah, that's no problem. But, it's a tough thing. It's hard to stay vigilant. And I think that's we will hopefully be able to travel further east. We have plans to go to Kiev, and I'd like to get to Odessa, and I'd like to go to places where I can actually see people who are really in.
I mean, you can go to Bucha too. And
Yeah. Oh, I
talk to
absolutely. I
people.
plan to do that. And I want to really try to be a part of this moment, and I want to tell that story.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. People need to stay in that moment. The stories here, they need to get out, and so that to me, that's I feel like in this moment of history, I just want to be here and help, and I wrestled on how to go about it, and the best thing I think I have is a camera and telling that story. And and I went, and when I posted that I was coming to Ukraine, I said, we're going to Ukraine. And and people are like, what do you mean we? I mean, I'm going, and if you care at all about me, you are now going to experience what I've been experiencing for the last 2 months, because now you know someone in Ukraine. You know someone who has these bombs.
That's very
and
effective,
so
yeah.
now I have 2,000 Facebook friends or whatever that now they're reading the posts, and they're watching the videos, and so it's important to do that.
I do this thing where I post myself in a bomb shelter during air alarms. And so my friends, I have a lot of friends and family in Canada, and when they see that, it's much more closer to home for them.
Yeah.
And like they know me. It's not the same as like reading something in newspaper. And that encouraged a lot of them to donate money to Ukraine and support Ukraine or refugees in Canada. Yeah, so it's important, and I really appreciate what you're doing here. It's a very great idea, and I really hope that it's gonna work out great. The documentary. Would you recommend someone else to come here? Like if someone from
Yeah, I
someone
think
asks you like,
absolutely.
Brian, is it safe to come to Ukraine right now? What would you say?
Absolutely. I keep telling my wife we're moving here.
Yeah.
I mean, bring my kids, and come here and be a part of it. To me, I just see like
Ukraine is
this is the world's problem, and you've got this stupid line, and people think, no, that's their problem. That's bullshit. This is the world's problem, and you have this small group of people who've got the balls to fucking fight it. The world, you need to put Ukraine in your budget, in my opinion. Every person in the world needs to say, okay, whether it's $20 or $50 a month, you need to put an item in your budget so that it comes out of your paycheck, and then you're directing it and you're trying to help people. Like, was it the Kiev Independent? They tweet any news that came out. So, and I get notifications. So I'm in Taiwan, and every single time an air raid goes off, I would get a notification, and that to me is it's important. The world just has to realize that this is not a local territorial dispute. Ukrainians are fighting for the world, and it's not just a marketing slogan. It's not.
Yeah.
That's the case.
Nothing's gonna stop Russia if we don't stop it right now.
Okay, I have a question. Why do you think most world problem is Ukraine right now, but not Syria, for example? Why
is it more in the news?
Yeah.
Why is it being talked about more than Syria?
Я не розумію твого питання.
Чому про Україну говорять більше, ніж про
Ні,
Сирію?
чому це більше проблема, ніж Сирія? Як просто нам це зрозуміло.
Тобто більша проблема.
Він сказав, що це проблема світу.
So why do so Antoine's question is why do you think Ukraine's problem is the world's problem? Would you say the same thing about Syria?
I think Syria is a stain on my country. Well, all right. So I think it is a stain on the world because they used chemical weapons on children, and the world basically decided it wasn't worth their effort to stop it. I mean, Obama drew a red line in the sand and said, "All right, we're if you do this, we're going to get involved," and then he backed down. And I voted for Obama. I really respect him as a leader. That is one of the most shameful and embarrassing things. I mean, that really breaks my heart. But the difference between this and Ukraine is Bashar al-Assad is not he's not a nuclear power, so it's not dealing with that nuclear question. And I would say that the United States knows that this is a NATO issue, and it's affecting it. So it's not just a simple thing like, oh, well, they're white people and white people. A lot of people want to make it into a race issue because race is a very important issue in the U.S. right now. Yeah. I don't see it that way. I see it as this is an issue regarding
there was an
Putin
issue of someone
and Russia and that nuclear power and that huge dynamic. The world should,
Yeah, I
they
don't
tried
like
to,
the comparison that they're making to other war zones where the world doesn't care about it as much because it's not white people. And maybe it is true for some people, but definitely not true for Ukrainians. Ukrainians are not racist. What I find interesting that I've experienced more like I've heard more like racist and sexist comments being made by Americans and they're than in Ukraine. Ukrainians are very accepting of everyone,
Because another races was not a problem for us.
It never really.
Like Indian people for Great Britain or. But okay.
I think to most of us, it's like if you call yourself a Ukrainian, you have citizenship, you're working for Ukraine, you're fucking Ukrainian. That's it. That's all that matters.
But by the way, about my question, because my point of view, Ukraine is most problem for Ukraine has more attention of world just because more people in Ukraine can speak English and we have cameras.
Yeah. And we know that that's absolutely true. The invention of the iPhone, all people don't see that as like a civil rights thing, but that did more for civil rights. The idea that everyone has a little camera in their pocket, and they can actually record stuff, social media, getting it out there. And again, progress isn't a straight line. There's ups and downs, twists and turns. But people need to use these miracle devices and get the information out there. And I think Ukraine has shown just amazing shrewdness in how they've used social media. I mean, like, it's just, there's a lot of photos I've seen with like girls who are like models and they're like, oh, and I just so happen to have my AK on the bus, It's like, okay, obviously that there's a propagandic purpose for something like that. And
also,
but that's
we
communication.
have a sense of humor in Ukraine. I think all of the Ukrainians have a good sense of
Russians people steal our memes.
Yeah, they're stealing memes from us. Like,
they
the fuck? They steal everything.
they should video
Using background music.
Using our songs, our Ukrainian songs, using our patriotic songs.
Well, that's actually when you don't have a free society, you have to steal because original thought and original expression is not allowed. Right? So that's one of those things that you see, right? You see stuff like that in China. They don't invent stuff. They steal it. They steal the designs. They reverse engineer things, right? So it's not that if you are a real innovator, you have an open society. And you have open ideas, and it's going to be ugly and messy, but that is what it is. And eventually, things will work themselves out, and progress will be made. But like right now, I mean, U.S. seems pretty chaotic. But you know what? They're wrestling with a lot of issues that aren't issues in a lot of other countries. A lot of other countries don't have the degree of diversity that the United States has. And so the U.S. has to really wrestle with tough questions. In Taiwan, you could say, well, we don't have a race problem. Well, 98% of the society all look the same, right? You haven't really wrestled with the race issue. In the United States, we're now at the point where I think in the next decade or so, non-white is going to be the majority, right? So imagine you have a society that is a majority white people with Christian, beliefs, and then in the span of 200 years in the U.S. And then now that is literally changing. And so I love that.
To be American is changing. And that's it's for the best, I think. We have good hopes for the future. So if you get a time travel machine, you go to the future.
Absolutely.
That's the right answer.
Absolutely.
There's only one right answer.
Yeah.
If I have a travel machine, I back to 2011 and I
kill baby Putin?
No. I just tell myself, Anton, I have any time to explain. Just buy Bitcoin.
Would you have sex with yourself, though? Would you have sex with yourself if you travel back in time and you see yourself? It's a very important question. We need to discuss.
Only a little joke. No, not more.
Jerk? I feel like... But what's the point of traveling back in time? You can jerk yourself off in time.
I don't want to jerk myself in this timeline.
If you ever gonna blow a man, okay, as a heterosexual man, shouldn't you be yourself? It's basically masturbating.
But I wasn't.
That's what
I wasn't attractive 10 years ago, so
Yeah, because you didn't buy Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Well, then you should have gotten out before I got in, because I was like right at the top, and I caught it just in time for to lose half my value.
Did you lose money, or did you still?
Oh, no. I've done absolutely nothing but lose. So
my ex-boyfriend made so much fucking money on crypto, like right after we broke up. I'm so angry, but because we live together, I'm still tempted that I can like sue him, because we're like common law basically. But it's too much of a hassle. It's fine, whatever. I don't care.
The market's a mess right now, but like everything, it's all cycles, right? So it'll go back. I still have a little bit in there, but it's money. Right now we got lives, and I think again, this is special. It touches on something way more than just a regional thing, and this is a big global thing, and I'm glad to be here. I mean, it's a great place to be.
Okay.
Oh, but what about your time machine? Where are you going back?
I'm gonna go back in time and fuck myself.
So what was the golden era of fuckability for you? Yesterday.
Well, traveling back in time today is not possible, obviously.
Right.
I'm looking my best. I think, right?
But for what? For what time machine? If you can.
A clone would be fun too.
You just.
Yeah, but do I need to wait for a clone to turn 18 to?
Clone, it's not.
Or is it going to be the same age?
It's not just your copy in this time. Clone, it's growing up organism.
Yeah, so I need to wait 18 years before I can get it on. That's too long.
Anabolics.
I don't know if the clone laws have been worked out yet. You might have a golden window right now.
I mean, I still have 18 years in front of me. What am I going to be like, 48? I could still like pull it off as an 18-year-old,
Yeah.
All right. Deal. No, if I actually had a time machine, I would prefer to go into the future. Not too far off. Oh, you were talking about evolution.
Yeah.
I got into speculative evolution recently.
Oh, wow.
It's like a sci-fi thing, and it's so interesting. I read this book. It's called All Tomorrows, and it's about like what human race might become in like millions of years ahead, and like we're nothing basically human about us physically, but our nature still remains a bit human. What do you think the next evolutionary steps or changes for humanity are going to be like?
Oh, I think this is the big question, right? So when we had evolution and we evolved to the nuclear weapon, that had a positive impact in that there's this mutually assured destruction, Matt, right? So that was the thing. But now we have to evolve past that point. And that is what's more powerful than that? The world needs to see its power. The world needs to see that, hey, to be connected, interconnected. Like imagine we basically have to like block Russia on Facebook. I mean, but it needs to be the global thing in all these different ways. And then
they block themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's the idea that the world needs to be able to say, okay, look, you're being bad, and actually, I think the U.S. needs to be a party to that. What was it? The human rights courts? I forget what they're called. The Hague. There's an organization on human rights that basically punishes for war crimes, and the United States hasn't signed that. We're not a part of that.
Oh.
We believe, because we are the most powerful country in the world, that we don't have to play those rules. But we have to change that. And you know what? I do think George Bush invasion of Iraq, when there was no weapons of mass destruction, I'm rethinking all of this stuff that happened that I was experiencing. It was like, we were fucking wrong. You go into someone's house, you take their beautiful little babies and you fucking kill them. My son was crying when I left. And to think that someone else is feeling that, it's infuriating. And the idea that people want to go back to normal It can't happen. We're dealing with human beings, little kids
Laws.
that are dead, photos of the family that was trying to run away. The people can't just move on. And I'm sorry if it's not convenient. I'm sorry if it doesn't fit in your Twitter feed, but it has to be real. And that's why I'm saying it. It just, people need to be alert and need to be plugged into this moment. And my heart goes out. When I came here and I got a chance to hang out with Yuri and his wife, I'm living with them, and he's got this beautiful little girl. You know, she sees me, yeah, Bryan. She gives me a big hug. But not even 500 meters from his place is that tire shop that got
Really?
that. Yes.
Yeah.
So he sent me photos. He's like, "You still want to come?" That was like 2 weeks before I came. He was like, "Do you want to come?" And he sent me a photo of out his kitchen window of smoke coming up. And I said, "Absolutely, I'm coming. I'm coming." Because I know that I can do something. I can do something with a camera. Now, I was a medic in the Army, but my medical knowledge is 20 plus years old. I don't have something I can offer that's good, but I can tell a story.
Yeah.
If you can't come here, if you got a job, then fine, send money. But be engaged. I think that's really important. And I think even Ukrainians that are abroad, I mean, I met Ukrainians in Poland who are living a good life. They're out at the bar and enjoying themselves. Great. Enjoy yourself. But you need to make a commitment that this moment in history will not be skipped, or missed over, ignored. You have to say, what did I do in this moment? And I think everyone has to have an answer for that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I have another question, more light. Two questions. First, did you saw Ukrainian films?
Have I seen Ukrainian films?
Yeah.
I need some recommendations.
Okay. You like old movies. That's why you should see «Тіні забутих предків» Параджанова.
Тіні забутих предків Параджанова.
Shadows of forgotten parents.
It's about. So Parajanov is a very well-known cinematographer in Ukraine. His origin is what is he?
Вірменія, здається.
Man, I forgot what Virmenia is. Anyways, but he's Ukrainian. He has a background from another culture, but he lived and made movies in Ukraine. And he created this like amazing visual scenes. Very beautiful. So this specific film is about like a culture that's present in Ukrainian mountains in the west. And they have very interesting rituals and traditions that are not typical for the rest of Ukraine. Also, he has another movie, I don't know, something about pomegranate, just про гранат. But like the visuals.
Гранатовий браслет.
Pomegranate bracelet.
Yeah.
And in that movie, the visuals are very, very beautiful. I've never seen none of those movies.
I think even you didn't watch movie «Гранатовий браслет», you определенно бачили, точно бачили
Sure, you saw
візуальну частину.
visuals. Що?
Коротше, «Гранатовий браслет» дуже цитується в західній культурі, особливо в музичних кліпах.
It's referenced, this specific movie, the pomegranate bracelet, is referenced by Western media, especially like music industry videos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think Lady Gaga did something
Exactly.
So it has a huge influence,
And
cultural influence.
another two movies, Ukrainian movies, you should watch. Забагато багато слів. Okay, second is Tribe, племя. It's a movie about children, I don't know how to say, deaf and немые.
Dumb?
Dumb. And all movie they speak by
Sign language.
yeah. It's very It's very cool. It's very cool movie. It's very interesting and very.
It's a more recent movie.
And,
Yeah, but it's very difficult.
And this movie was shot
in Odessa, I think.
Huh?
Was it shot in Odessa?
in Kiev. In
Oh,
Kiev.
in
Kiev. In time.
Yeah, of what?
In time of our revolution.
a time of the...
yeah.
Which one?
And 14 рік.
Гідності.
Гідність, of Evolution of Honor, I don't know.
Yeah.
And someone of actors was in our Maidan. In our Maidan, yeah. And a third movie.
Actually, there's a movie on Netflix about the revolution.
I did see that. I did see that. So I saw that one, and I saw there's a documentary on the 2004 Orange Revolution, and I saw that as well. But yeah, they were both very good films.
And third movie, it's comedy. It's my thoughts are quiet. Мої думки тихі. It's very interesting, very cool movie about modern culture, our modern culture.
There are quite a few recent movies that are produced within like last 2 years. They're really cool. Atlantis.
I don't watch.
It's about
I
war.
didn't watch.
Also, there's Stop Земля, Stop Earth. They're like very.
Yeah.
Погані дороги, Bad Roads.
Bad Roads, yeah.
There's a lot, but
Yeah.
like,
Oh well, I that's what I like to do at the evening.
Cinematography
watching
has
movies.
been like.
But it's my
Top
it was
level
my
recently.
3 recommendation about just for representation. Of course, we have a lot of great movies now, and my question for you, what about your recommendation? But not just movies, about documentary, because I don't like documentary movies. I'm trying to expect why. I like.
They suck.
Huh? Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's boring because I like read and I read very fast. And
I'm kidding. Documentaries are lovely.
but I don't like a
He's
documentary.
making a documentary.
Yeah, I know. That's why I ask him about. So your recommendation of documentary films for щоб я полюбив.
But he's gonna like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my documentary I made free and available. It's on YouTube, so you can watch Dirty Energy, and you can see my film.
What's the name of the documentary?
Dirty Energy.
Dirty Energy.
Yeah, so you just go to YouTube and you search Dirty Energy movie or Dirty Energy documentary, and it'll be the first thing that comes up, right?
How long is it?
Hour and a half,
An hour.
90 minutes, yeah. And that's on the BP oil spill. And I think the importance in a documentary is you have to communicate information, but you have to. People think that documentaries don't have characters, or they don't. And if I had a criticism of the what is it, the Winter on Fire or something like that, it was the documentary on that. Is I would have liked to have seen one person's kind of journey through that, where I could feel connected to one character, and that's what I would hope to do with this film. Is that. Sure, I've got a lot of bullet points of information that I want to put into the film, but you need to have a character that you follow. So a good documentary to watch is The Cove, okay? And this is about the killings in the dolphin killings in Japan. This won an Academy Award. It's a great film. And again, you have a couple characters that you follow their journey through the film. And that's a wonderful film. And a good documentary. A good documentary should not be boring. There's another one called A Killing Fields or something. I can get the name for you, but it's where they took these guys who committed acts of genocide and they did a reenactment in Cambodia or Laos or something, and they reenacted the genocide that they did. And they took these guys who were the bad guys and they said, "Oh, now we want you to reenact it." And then they basically tracked their story as these guys are falling apart, realizing what they had done.
Yeah.
And it was just a beautiful film. And I think that was nominated for Academy Award as well. But I'm unfortunately, I'm not remembering the name of that. But that's a special film. And so I do think that it's important to get information out, but it has to be packaged properly. And I think that, again, everyone knows Zelensky I want to make sure, at least in the film that I'm making, that there are 4 or 5 people, and you go, I really care about them. You're connected to it. Your heart bleeds for them, and you know what city they're from. You know what their favorite foods are like, and you're like, I just want them to be okay. And I think that that's important. You know, if let's say you don't have money and you don't want to do that, but you want to be a part of this. Watching Ukrainian films is a great way. We need to celebrate Ukrainian culture at this time, and this is our power, right? I'm not going to watch anything. How many Ukrainians are native Russian speakers? This is one of the girls that I plan to interview for my film. She runs a school for Ukrainians who are, fleeing the fighting that are here in Lviv, and she's teaching them Ukrainian because they're native Russian speakers, and they're like, I have to live my life, but all of a sudden I have to learn a new language, and it's tough. But that's a story.
Yeah.
That's a story. So, you could learn Ukrainian on Duolingo and do something by celebrating and being a part of this rise of your culture. And at the end of this war, you guys are going to be, A-list celebrities in the world. Yeah, I mean, you guys are already, but it's like I think it's great. And then you have another, and this is our power as a society. We lift something up, and we block something else out, and that is our power. And that's more powerful than a bomb.
Yeah. In Ukraine, we definitely appreciate all the effort and support that we get from all the other countries. But it is, as I said, very important to continue supporting Ukraine. If you don't know which way to support, like maybe you don't have the funds to support Ukraine, getting to know our culture and just trying to understand us a little better, that's a good way to do it too. Yeah, so watching films,
the Ocean's Eyes or LZ's. I was listening to him. I was listening to him in Taiwan, and so I love his music. Hopefully, maybe I can interview him. But
what's your favorite song?
I have an album, but Susie.
Yeah, Susie.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. That's good.
Продовжуй.
No. Я не знаю слів.
Yeah, that's good. But it's like that. That to me, it just made it. So I run a bakery. Right now in Taiwan, like I was getting phone calls, like messages, how do we do the onions, like as we were coming here. And it was like texting them back, and it's like sometimes I forget that I actually still have people there working. But my staff has got to be so happy because it was Ukrainian news 24/7 for the last 2 months. And they're just like, he's out of here. Finally, I can listen to something else.
Have you been to Ukrainian restaurants and bakeries to check out, like maybe there's something new in the US?
I went to, what is it, Arsenal with the guys with the cleavers, and they're chopping up the meat, the ribs. Okay. I went there, but I've been eating a lot of like Ukrainian food, like family food, like house food. I mean,
don't you think the Ukrainian restaurants are so extra? Like they go above and beyond was like their image, their style, like the way they style the.
I have to go to more. I've only been to one restaurant since I've been here in the last week. So give me that'll be wonderful.
I'll give you pointers.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Anything on Площа Ринок, everything's worth like your visit because it's awesome. Yeah.
You had asked earlier about first impressions. All right, so. I'm not the biggest fan of the roads. That's rough. But you guys, it's like like Italy is just gorgeous. Lviv is a beautiful city. It really is, and it's so rich. And I feel bad to be here in such a dark time, but I'm so glad I came. It is really it's really cool, and the weather is much more comfortable than Taiwan is. Yeah. Taiwan's so hot right now. Yeah, cool. I think COVID really they've not had a COVID surge yet, and it just started like 2 weeks. So for the last 2 weeks, instead of saying goodbye to my friends before coming, I had to hide because I was worried about getting COVID before I left. But
we got 0 cases of COVID.
Yeah, no problem with COVID. It was amazing. The COVID problem just went away like that.
Okay, можемо.
Okay, well, any final thoughts, or was this a good summary for you of your experience?
Is there a Buy Ukraine website? Because I really do think, like, I got this belt. I don't know. This
All
belt.
right.
Ukrainian belt, but
Oh, yeah, okay.
it was,
Did you get it at
handmade.
Klemka?
Yeah, it was here on the street. But sorry. This is wonderful. It's handcrafted. I don't know the name of the place, but
Klemka.
okay. I gotta, man, this belt was, I think it's like $15 US. Yeah. But it's beautiful. I love the design.
Yeah. The guest we had on the previous podcast, David McSavage, he bought 2 of those belts as well for himself. It seems to be very popular with foreigners.
I mean, that's a real leather. I mean, that's wonderful, and it's very affordable. But it's like that's a way to help people, because right now you guys got a war, but everyone has to eat, man. You have an economy. You know, everyone's got to go to work. I mean, yeah, they got to plant the fields. You know, so got to find ways to be able to contribute. And I think, you know,
I don't know if there's a
Buy Ukraine
website
would be
that's
good.
a collection of like art services or like any produce you can buy from Ukraine.
Hard to say, because
Yeah.
we have a lot, but it's not websites. It's profiles in Instagram.
Often,
that would be, you know, if
there
maybe
must be
there's
some kind of summary of businesses that you can support. Maybe
maybe it'd be worthwhile to do to get a collection of the artists, because you know, and be able to create, even if it's just a Facebook group where you can go in and everyone just posts photos of the stuff that they're selling, and then just find a good way to be able to ship it, right? So I mean, you guys, the shirts and the designs is just beautiful. And again, I'm looking to learn more that I'm here, you know, but it's just it's rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
for your time,
Yeah.
and I wish you luck with your documentary, and I'm looking forward to seeing the final product. I
Yeah.
hope you will send us the link.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you.
So, закінчимо.
Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, give this video a like, and share it with your friends. We will appreciate your support. Slava Ukraini!